Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Dr. Kate Boyd. I'm a professor of piano and I created this channel to help pianists like you take your playing to the next level. In this video, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to answer some questions that have come from you, my community. And they're going to focus on piano technique. And the reason for that is because when my channel passed 10,000 subscribers recently, I put out a call for questions and I received more than 25 responses. It was way too many to do in just one video, so I chose 3 of them to answer in this video. Today's questions are about how to do smooth crossings between the hands, thumb technique on the piano, and how to play notes marked staccato and tenuto on the piano. Now, this is a new format for me, so let me know what you think and if you'd like to see more videos like this. I'm going to put timestamps to each of today's 3 questions in the description below this video so that you can navigate more easily between them. So let's get started with our first question. Under technique, Susan asks, how to get more comfortable with movement at the piano, especially with gestures that take turns between the left and the right hands. Susan, that's a really good question, and a lot of piano students struggle with that. I chose a piece to talk to you about that has a lot of back and forth between the hands, and that is CPE Bach Solfeggieto. I'm going to play just the beginning for you now. This piece has a lot of back and forth between the hands, and there are basically 3 components to being able to play smoothly when the hands constantly go back and forth. And the first one is to think ahead. The second one is to move your hands into position as soon as they're done playing the old position. And then the third one is to actually find the new hand shape. I'll show you with this piece by going slowly and kind of talking you through those things. First of all, when I'm playing the very first shape in both hands, I'm already looking at the next beat. I'm already looking at the second beat while I'm playing the first beat because that helps me to think ahead and know where I'm about to move my right hand. Then, as I'm playing the second beat, I'm already looking at the third beat so I can move my left hand into position. And then as I play my left hand, I'm moving my right hand into position. So I'm always looking and thinking one beat ahead of where I'm playing. Then, in terms of my second point about moving your hand quickly, as soon as I play each hand, I'm moving into the next position. You can see I'm doing it slowly, so you can see me move. A lot of students struggle with this because they just sit over the notes after they play them, and then they think, oh no, now I have to move my hand. And then it gets really hard to be smooth. So always move as soon as you're playing, as soon as you're done playing. The third component of that is when you move your hand, move into the next hand shape. I'm not just generally moving my hand to the right after I play the first note. I'm moving into the position where my fingers are over the next notes so that I'm all set up to play when it becomes time. Now I'm going to do this slowly so you can watch for those 3 things. I'm thinking ahead, one beat or one hand position, and I'm moving ahead. I'm moving into the new shape. Watch how I'm moving, and I'm keeping my left hand above the keys so they don't get in the way. Move, move. I'm already looking at the next. There we go. Now left hand is moving while the right hand plays. See how I'm moving into position. Move, move, move. So that's how I would approach a piece that moves between the hands. The next question I have is from Simon. He says, we hear the phrase, get the thumb behind as you move across the keyboard. What's a great way to do this, and what does it mean, and why do we want to? Now, Simon, I have to be honest with you. I actually looked around and I tried to find that phrase. I don't use the phrase. None of my teachers ever used that phrase, and I've never heard anybody talk about getting the thumb behind. And while I'm sure there are teachers who use that vocabulary and mean a particular thing with it, I don't really know what is meant by the term get the thumb behind. But I can tell you in terms of thumb technique that the thumb is a frequently misunderstood finger because it looks so different from the other 4. And the place where it's really misunderstood is the place where the knuckles attach to the hand. So you've got the analogous knuckles are this first knuckle in the fingers is the same as this nubby looking knuckle in the thumb. And then the second knuckle in the fingers is analogous to this knuckle in the thumb. And the thumb is not actually attached to the hand at this point. It's just that we have this fold of skin and flesh that makes it look attached. Actually, the thumb attaches down here to the hand. And that's important because then we have this knuckle and these knuckles that are all analogous. And the reason that's important is because a lot of times people play the thumb by just dropping their whole arm or wrist into the note, and they're not able to play their thumb with a flat wrist or an elevated wrist, which sometimes you need to. Sometimes you need to be able to play the thumb in a lot of different positions and not always drop your wrist into it. I'll just stick with the CPE Bach here. When I play this, I'm gonna wanna use my thumb and play it from this joint. Notice I'm not going with my wrist. Now I'll show you what it looks like to drop my wrist every time I play the thumb using this piece. And I'm gonna drop here, this is the thumb. See how I'm dropping my wrist? I don't wanna do that. And here's the thumb. Drop. The reason I don't want to do that is because A, it's harder to play fast because I'm moving my wrist all around just based on whatever finger I'm using. But secondly, it can cause weird accents. So it gets in the way of facility and it can cause weird accents. What I suggest to my students is to have a smooth and consistent kind of flat wrist. And then as you play your thumb, play it from the hand as a finger. I did make a video all about the thumb, so I'll link to that in the cards right up there so you can have a look at that. I'll also put it in the description. My next question is how to play staccato or a note with a tenuto sign. All right, let's have a look at a piece that has a lot of staccato in it. This is a piece by Heinrich Hofmann, and it's Opus 77, number 1. It has a lot of short notes in it. Now the thing about playing staccato is that it really depends a lot on the context. It depends on the piece you're playing, it depends on the speed of the piece you're playing, and it depends on the sound quality and the type of sound that you actually want to create by playing staccato. When a note is detached, there are a lot of different lengths that it could be. So staccato is not a binary kind of choice. Staccato, there's a whole range of note lengths there could be. Looking at this example from Hofmann, we have notes that are marked staccato, but doesn't mean it has to be as short as possible, right? It could be, that's super short. That doesn't sound quite long enough to me. These are a little longer. And so what I would encourage you to do, because you mentioned you're at a more beginning level, is learn to play staccato, come off of the key with your hand, like this, touch the key first. I'll see a lot of people playing staccato like this. You want to have a controlled touch, and then maybe do a 5-finger pattern where you come off the key with your hand. I'll show you in the left hand. I'm touching the key between each, and then here. Notice that I'm not coming up high off the key. Notice that I'm not using my whole forearm from the elbow. I'm actually controlling the touch at the fingertip level. So I would say make sure that your staccato motion is a relatively small motion. And think about the fact that it doesn't mean as short as possible, it just means short. And this is the next question you had, which was about tenuto. I have a colleague from Interlaken who calls a tenuto the reluctant staccato, and I just thought that was beautiful. That was T.J. Limonstoll. And he talks about this idea that it's not a complete staccato, but it's also not legato. It's a reluctant staccato. It's like a lazy staccato. We go like this for staccato, and for tenuto we kind of caress. It's kind of like where it's kind of almost a caressed beat. Notice the way I'm touching the piano. I'm kind of petting it almost, like petting the kitty, right? So when you see a tenuto mark, it's like the smallest kind of emphasis. It's not an accent, but it's saying, please emphasize this note by giving it a little bit of length without connecting it to the next note. So I hope that helps with your question about staccato and tenuto and gets you started on the right path. Now, that's another area that a good teacher can help you with, because then as you're working on repertoire, they can work with you on how to create a really good staccato and to differentiate that from tenuto and accents. In today's video, I've been talking about 3 specific questions related to piano technique. If you've watched this far, you might be interested in watching my entire playlist about the foundations of piano technique, the way that I teach it. You can watch that playlist by clicking right up there in the corner. Also, let me know how this format worked for you. Let me know if you want to see more Q&A videos like this one. You can leave a note in the comments below this video. Good luck with your piano technique. I'll see you in the next video, and happy practicing!